Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the Corner Bookstore, and we're going to be talking about all things related to Dracula. Woo, how exciting. Joining me for this adventure is my co-host and friend, DIANN BOEHM. In addition to being a co-host here on this show, she's also a co-host on 2 other shows, soon to be 3 other shows. There'll be a total of 4, and she's one of our expert presenters on our Talking Heads platform, and she's on our elevated listening team. What this means is she's someone you want to get to know. She holds a safe space for people. She is the queen of networking, and she's an international award-winning children's and young adult book author. Let's bring her out.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN.
Hi, sewing. I mean, I could go on and on teaching things that
You're always so kind to me. I kind of look around to see who you're talking about.
No, you are truly amazing. And you're in my new book that's forthcoming, the children's book. So I'm really excited about that.
I'm excited for you.
Today, thank you. I want to hear from you for people who are joining us for the very first time and they haven't met you. We have, as you know, in addition to our television platforms and our radio platforms, we also have a couple of new channels coming on board. So DIANN, please share a little bit about your background and why you're so passionate about creating fabulous content. And then we'll bring out our guests.
Sure, I'll be happy to. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. We have an exciting show for you today. As far as me and content, I've always been a storyteller. I love telling stories, and I decided to put my stories to print. And my stories are about, well, they concentrate on inspiration and peace, harmony, hope, love, to be kind to one another. And when you close my books, I hope it inspires you to be the best you can be. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN.
Thank you, DIANN. And we also have 2 fabulous sponsorships from you, which we'll play during the commercial break. So without further ado, I have to say, I've always been fascinated with the underground and Dracula, and there's this mystery and suspense about it. And we have somebody here who's really an expert. And our topics today are how our guest, Rich Davis, decided to continue the Dracula series and what helped him create these stories. And we want to find out more about his inspiration. So Rich Davis is a comic book author of Rise of Dracula and Cult of Dracula. So let's welcome him to the program. Hi, welcome.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm broadcasting from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh, I love Tennessee.
I love it. This is the first time I think anyone from Knoxville. So, Rich, you might have heard me say in the opening, I've always had this fascination about Dracula, and some people are go the other way. They're terrified. So what is it that drew you into this world of everything Dracula?
You know, I like you, I've had a fascination with the character for quite a long time. Dracula scared the crap out of me growing up. And, you know, Stephen King's very famous for the line, if you want to write effective horror, write about the things that scare you. So Dracula, vampires, for whatever reason, the things that they're able to get people to do, the way they're able to manipulate others, just like cult leaders also scare me. So pulling those 2 concepts together into Cult of Dracula was very interesting and gave me a lot of nightmares.
I understand. Yes, I can understand that and relate to that. The whole thing with no sunshine and sleeping upside down, or
so many different facets to the to vampire mythology. And that was kind of the really fun thing to when I was working on these projects, was to be able to take the vampire mythology beyond just that Western concept that we have. You know, vampires exist in every culture throughout human history and all across the world. So we did get to pull a lot of things like the Aswang from the Philippines, Jirogamo from Japan, Native American mythology. So, you know, when you read Cult and then Rise of Dracula, you're not just getting that narrow Western focused, you know, European dude with a tuxedo and a widow's peak. You get more of a globalized view of vampires and vampire.
Wow.
And this might sound like a completely ridiculous question, but are vampires related to bats? Is that a myth or
Related? I'm sorry, related to, I didn't catch that bit.
bats?
Oh, you know, there in many different mythologies, vampires do have the anthropomorphic shape shifting, so they can change into different types of animals. So they're not specifically to bats in every culture, but they are in many.
Wow. I've already learned so much.
You know, there's a lot of mythology out there related to vampires. It's pretty deep concept once you start researching it.
Wow, I had no idea because I just thought, you know, Dracula came from this one place and he's like the only vampire, except maybe he has a cousin who sucks blood too, you know.
Right. Yep, exactly.
And then there was a whole, I forget the period of time when there were a number of movies coming out where it was kind of like sexy and cool to be with a vampire. For the vampire to bite you was like, but that we were going to die. So it was a short-lived relationship.
Yeah, exactly. That was more that was when the Anne Rice style vampire was dominating the pop culture, and did a lot to make vampires very, very sexy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Interesting.
So, Rich, what I'd love for you to share with us as you embarked down this path, you did a lot of research, which you just mentioned. What are some of the things that you learned?
You know, well, the biggest thing again was that vampire mythology is a global mythology. I mean, it exists in every culture. So that was very eye-opening to see the similarities across different cultures, and also the stark differences with the vampire mythos, depending on where you were and when you observed the creatures. So learning all about the new folklore was probably my most eye-opening and really the fun part of trying to add something to the Dracula legacy. Because I knew I didn't want to tell that same story about a guy in Victorian England. That story's been done so many times and so well. There's nothing I could add to it. So by being able to kind of globalize the Dracula story and pull in different mythologies, I think that that's one of the aspects I'm most proud of with the book.
Well, congratulations. And I have to say, when I saw the number 50,000 units of Cult of Dracula, I was like, is it 5,000? Is it congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. It really caught fire. It was a very underground book. Came out. It was the first book released by Second Sight Publishing, which was a very small company. Issue 1 sold so many copies that they couldn't afford to publish issue 2. It was not their fault or anything they did wrong. It was just they didn't have the infrastructure, the distribution set up. Nobody expected my first book to sell that many copies. So luckily, we did ultimately end up at Source Point Press, which was a much larger company, and the success has been great ever since. It just, I don't know how long they're going to let me keep doing this, but I'm going to enjoy it as long as they do.
I have one more question, then I'll turn it over to you, Diane,
Okay.
just a follow-up. So I'm an author myself, and if I see 50 copies, I'm like, whoa, that's amazing. How does your life change when you hit that kind of number? Does it change?
You travel a lot more. I've been, I think this year I'm doing somewhere in the neighborhood of 21, 22 conventions where, so when your book is doing well, you're more in demand and people ask you to come hang out in really cool places. So, and I imagine once the books aren't selling as well, I'll get fewer of those invitations.
Well, that's fabulous. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. So, yes, what I was going to ask is what did you find the most interesting about the differences in the different, would you say each one's a Dracula? I think backstage you said they had different names, right?
Yeah. So, so the vampires have different identities, different abilities, different descriptions, depending on what culture you're in. Like in the Philippines, the Aswang, they're more of the kind of ghoulish vampires, whereas you have the Bram Stoker, the Dracula idea, kind of a more of a smooth Dracula with the widow's peak and the tuxedo. So yeah, the vampires do have different names in different cultures, but it was really fun to see. Like some cultures, vampires, it's perfectly fine for them to exist during the day. The sunshine doesn't destroy them, but it only makes them weaker. So finding the little nuanced differences across different cultures was very eye-opening, and I feel like helped me learn about a lot more about this topic that that I've adored since I was young, and now I can love it for many more different reasons.
So do you have nightmares every night?
I do, actually. I have very vivid dreams, very vivid nightmares. Something that's kind of plagued me as far back as I can remember. And vivid waking dreams do run in my family. So yeah, most of what I have my nightmares about will end up into the book in one shape, form, or another. So maybe it helps me write, but boy, it really hurts my ability to sleep each night.
Oh,
those are interesting angels that come and give you your inspiration.
They just have to do it in this really vivid, scary way.
Yeah, right. I wonder what would happen if, like, your inspirational that gives you these thoughts for your nightmares meets inspirational angel of mine that gives me peace and harmony.
Hey, that might make for a good book, actually.
I was just thinking that. Yes. Rich, I was wondering, as you travel around to these different conventions and people, your fans, they reach out to you. Who is the typical fan? Who's the typical reader?
I'm very proud to say that women are among my top demographic for the book. So I've discovered that vampires and Dracula specifically have a very diverse appeal. So it's kind of hard to peg a specific demo. We do have a lot of women. Women love vampires for whatever reason, which is great for me. And the audience tends to skew. Kind of I guess if I had to pick a typical, it's usually a college kid, usually a woman who just really is into the dark and scary, spooky stuff. And, they tend to love it.
Thank you. And you mentioned in the beginning about, you used the word underground. What does that mean for people who aren't aware?
So, when I say Cult of Dracula became an underground sensation, I think that was one of the reviewers on League of Comic Geeks that first coined that with it. But it came from nowhere. I mean, I was, a couple years ago, I was just that nerdy kid bouncing around at conventions, geeking out, getting to meet Todd McFarlane or Jim Steranko or, Larry Hama, these comics creators that I loved. And then, so here I come with this idea, and I funded out of my own pocket. I didn't have a publisher. I didn't have anything. And I created this book. And then we got it out there just by building relationships with comic collectors in different social media groups and calling the different comic book stores. And it became this thing, like, Cult of Dracula became this thing that if you knew about it, you were cool. If you didn't know about it, you just weren't cool enough to be here. So, that it really did kind of catch fire that way. And, I fully admit the reason I'm sitting here talking to you guys today is because that kind of indie underground community just coalesced around Cult of Dracula, made the book their own, and carried it to ridiculous levels of success that I should not have achieved yet. So it's been a really awesome experience.
I'm so happy for you. I've only been to one Comic-Con, so I really can relate to that networking that you did, and congratulations for that. But also, that was an eye-opener for me because I didn't realize how cool those.
Oh yeah, I love going to cons.
It's incredible.
Do they have them all over the world, or is it just? Oh, yeah. Yes, they do. Okay.
Yeah, they're all over the world. In fact, I'd really like to go next year after, the COVID restrictions ease up. I'd like to go and do a tour of the conventions in the UK. So, that might be something that's, it's on the table now. We just got to figure out how to make it work. So that'll be exciting. But yeah, they have cons all over. Pretty much every state, every major city is going to have a convention at least once a year.
Well, we've got a lot of friends in the UK if we can help you. So,
but please do, yeah.
That's true.
we have a show all about the UK news and culture, so we'll talk about that later. We're going to take a quick break, but one thing that I wanted to add, in addition to that number 50,000, there was something else that really stood out on your bio, and there's one word: Netflix. So we're going to find out more about that after we take a break. Sure. All right, fantastic. All right, stay with us. We're going to watch a couple of clips that are about someone near and dear and their work. So let's take a look, and we'll be right back on the Corner Bookstore.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diann Floyd BOEHM's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diann BOEHM. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diann Floyd BOEHM tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diann's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diann's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diann's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diann's delightful books and much more at DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com. Visit DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com. That's DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com.
He
Yeah.
needs to wait, but I'm going to interrupt you. Say I'm so rude. I think you need to have on one of those capes. Yeah, and then
Do
tell
that,
us.
but I'm not stealing a gimmick from my friend Dirk Manning, who's
Uh,
another comic. That's kind of his thing. So,
okay.
so I will do something different to come up with some kind of cape idea for him. But yeah, so Swap Shop was this really interesting, fun reality television show that we did for Netflix. It's kind of like American Pickers meets Comic Book Men meets The Amazing Race. So it was really fun to do. Originally, it was being developed as a show for History Channel, and History Channel ultimately didn't pick it up. So they came to Netflix and they wanted something with a little younger demographic, a little more hip. And so they started looking for comic book stores in the East Tennessee area. They called us up and asked if we would like to audition, and they ended up casting us the very same day. And so we shot 2 seasons of the show, and there's a potential that we'll come back for a third. It was so all in all, it was a really, really incredible time.
Wow.
Congratulations. I just want to reiterate what you said. So they contacted you. How amazing is this? You're sitting doing
It was
whatever.
wild, yeah.
Netflix, we want to chat with you.
Right? Yeah.
Would you say that
At
again?
first we kind of thought it was, we thought it was like a prank or something, and so yeah, when we figured out, oh wow, this is real. They're actually coming in to shoot an audition tape with us. I was like, wow, this is pretty surreal that they were looking for comic book stores in this area, and they found us, and we fit that demo from Central Casting they were looking for. So we got very, very lucky, and we're very fortunate to be a part of it.
That is
Very
really
humble.
impressive.
Yes.
Now, will you take the written and put it into movie form?
Yes, actually. So Cult of Dracula has been optioned by Sure Pictures to be developed as a television series. So we're working on that. Have to be careful what I say because certain things are protected by an NDA. But so yeah, we are in development. We're actually ready to go into pre-production on an animated version of Cult of Dracula. So that's being actively developed right now. So yeah, there's a lot of life for Cult of Dracula moving forward. Yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Rich, you're living like the dream in all aspects. It's like, wow, this guy's gold.
Right? I've been very fortunate to end up where I am. It took a lot of hard work. It was a long and winding road, but yeah, it's difficult to complain when you get to write scary stories for a living.
Well, on this platform, we're all about entertainment, education, inspiration, and hope. So what can you share from your story? I love how you said you had nothing, you had no publicists, and you just put yourself out there. You took a chance, you walked through a door, and now look at you. So what can you say to all those people out there who are still sitting there with their work like this? It's under the bed, it's in the cabinet, wherever it is.
The best thing that I can say is don't wait for someone to open a door for you. Kick it down yourself.
Nice.
If you believe in what you have, there's absolutely no reason why you can't get it out there. There's no excuse today to not share your work with the world. Because you have a million different digital platforms to get your books out there. You don't need publishers. You don't need these gatekeepers. So if I can sit here and join you guys on this show and talk about, having a top 50 best-selling comic of 2021 and hitting the sales numbers that I've been hitting, if I can do this, trust me, you guys can do this too. Because there's absolutely nothing special about me. I worked hard. I got lucky, and here we are today. So if you want to take anything away from this, just get it done. You can just knock the doors down yourself. You don't have to wait on somebody else.
I love that.
How you're still
knock
humble.
the door down and go for it.
Diann, I would love to have you share and then have Rich share about this as well. You talked about being a storyteller, and you are a masterful storyteller. So what does it take to be able to take the idea, whether in Rich, your case, it's a nightmare or it's a dream that you're constantly have, to take that and then tell an amazing story that other people are inspired to, they want to know more. They're like hanging on every word.
It depends on the audience. And the age I'm speaking to, in order to relate to them. Once I know who my audience is, I know where to take them. I love delivering stories in person, because I can engage and I get energy from them, and then away we go.
Thank you. How about you, Rich?
I agree. It's with when you're writing for a particular audience, it changes the way that you're going to tell the story. I meet a lot of my characters along the way, so I'm definitely not an architect. I'm more of a gardener when I'm writing. So I create the characters, and as we kind of work through this story together, they kind of tell me where they want to go and the different plot points that they want to hit. So I meet my characters as I go, and then I kind of translate them according to the audience that I think is going to read the book in the end. So yeah, I think that's how we get here.
When you mention that you meet them along the way, are these actual people, or these are images or characters that come to you, whether it's in your dream or just epiphany, whatever it might be?
In my head, they're 100% real.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But I mean, and that sounds crazy to anyone who doesn't write or act or create characters in that way. But I will sit down, and in my head, I'll have full-on conversations with these characters about, like, I need them to get over here to finish this particular plot point. But they're like, oh, but there's all these pretty flowers over here. I want to go look at those. And so, you have to, kind of treat them like kids sometimes, and like, okay, we'll go look at one flower, but then we've got to go. And it's a wild way, to walk around with different voices in your head, and especially when you're writing the types of things that I write, it can be kind of scary sometimes, things you have to think about.
Thanks for sharing that. I was also wondering, when you went from that gentleman that had nothing, I'm putting in air quotes, didn't have a publicist, to being the huge success that you are, how did that impact your inner circle?
It's definitely changed. Some people, I think the people that I'm close to, I've gotten closer to, because you just them, then they're around. But I noticed that you do pick up a lot more people on the periphery. And again, I'm not like a huge celebrity or anything. I've just been lucky and sold a lot of books. But yeah, especially at conventions, you see people hanging around you a little bit more, that you don't know. So yeah, I'm glad that it's made me kind of circle the wagons and tighten up that inner circle a bit.
Cool. And now you have a publicist that kind of helps you, right?
I do, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mickey and Lori, man, they do a great job getting me on shows like this and setting me up appearances at a lot of conventions. And it's a really fun experience. And I don't know when they're kicking me off the train, but I'm gonna hide out as long as I can.
I think you're gonna have to just be doing it for the rest of your life, because you.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, good, because I really believe you. Number one, you're writing about something you're passionate about, which that's something we all need to remember to do. And number two, you're writing about a topic that people around the world are interested in. There is something romantic, even though it's scary, there's something romantic about vampires that we are drawn to. Why do you think that is?
Vampires, that's a very American thought process about vampires. We have, with Anne Rice and some others, they've been very sexualized. And there is, when you think about it, there's something very sensual about the way vampires operate. When they feed, it's a kiss, on the neck often. So a lot of those sexual underpinnings there, and very romantic. And there's just some kind of sensual power about the mind manipulation and things about the vampires and the mystery. So yeah, there's definitely a style of vampire out there that is very romanticized, that's more of the Gothic inspired. And then there's other vampires out there like, that are just hideous creatures. So depending on, again, what culture you're viewing the vampire from, you might have a completely different ideology attached to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because when I think of a vampire, an Americanized vampire, and I hope I have the actor's name right, I think of George Hamilton.
Okay,
and tan, good looking, he's wearing a great looking suit. He might kiss me on the neck. That's kind of hot. I don't know.
Yep.
But in your latest book, what do you think pulls people want to read this book, so our listeners get off and go, I'm ordering that book right now?
Yeah, so Cult of Dracula is a very intimate Southern Gothic horror story. It focuses on this very weird Manson family inspired cult, and an investigative reporter and an FBI agent who are investigating it from different angles, and they're uncovering this massive global conspiracy to cover up the fact that vampires are real. Cult of Dracula has a very true crime vibe to it. It's a vampire story. It's a cult story. It's an occult story. So it's not your typical just retelling of Dracula set in Victorian England. If you're looking for that, this isn't going to be the book for you. But if you want to take a look at vampires and the Dracula mythology from a completely different perspective, all of the elements that Stoker intended, all of the themes, everything that he wanted to say, they're all present in the book. It's just repackaged and presented in a way that is more relatable to an audience today than maybe the original form of the book.
Thank you. And you mentioned that you're going to be doing some more touring around. If we just had a guest on who was sharing about drawing your future and taking whatever it is you want for yourself and actually putting it onto a vision board. So if we were to look at your vision board of where you're going in the future, what would be on there?
Yep. So I can talk about that in very loose form because we're actually working on a very tangible project with that. So my vision board is pretty ambitious. I want to create a larger epic story that builds off of what we've started here with Cult Rise and soon to be Reign of Dracula. But I want to pull in kind of a shared horror universe with a lot of my favorite horror figures throughout literature. I really want to tell a Dorian Gray story. It's already been announced that my next project after the Dracula saga is an adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I'd like to use the Invisible Man. I'd like to use some of these really cool horror figures from that Victorian era, but maybe the ones that we don't see as frequently. So if I had to look at, lay out a vision board that way, it's laying the ground to get to each one of those stories. And then maybe also being able to open up some opportunities to pull other writers and creators into this universe, so that maybe they can write some things and kind of even grow it beyond just my lone individial vision. Maybe we can create a shared project together.
I love that. I love the collaboration idea.
Me too.
And then of course the full feature film.
Yes,
yep, absolutely. That is something that I won't have a lot of hands-on involvement with that as it continues to develop, but yes, definitely want to see that on my vision board too.
And
I can already tell. I'm sorry, go ahead, Dr. Jack.
I was going to say, what about the third season on Netflix? What can people expect to see if they've never watched the show before?
So Swap Shop, it's really fun. We've had some discussions about a season 3. I don't know exactly, what they're planning to do. There's still plenty of negotiating that would have to go on for that, but I would definitely be interested in coming back for season 3. But it's a very fun show. There's something in it for everybody. There's like 4 or 5 different teams of people, and we all listen to this radio show called Swap Shop, which is an actual radio show that started here in East Tennessee. People just call when it's kind of like Craigslist, over the radio or something like that. So, but yeah, whether you're there's a toy collector guy, there's a guy who collects vintage clothing, there's a guy who collects really cool cars. So, all these things come across the show, and we go out and, sometimes we have to dig through old barns, garages. I fell through the floor in one of the places that we went to pick. It's pretty wild. Everything was real. They didn't script anything. They didn't make us say anything. So as we're looking through these places, you're seeing it for the first time, just like we are. And I think that energy really translated into the show, which is why it's been as popular as it has been. It was just a really fun, kind of silly experience. And if you're into those type of contest shows and you like seeing really cool, rare stuff, it's a good one to check out.
So it's not filmed in a studio. It's actually out in the field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would go. They would call us up and say, "Hey, we're going to Johnson City to do a pick over. We shoot over 2 days, and we're going to go through a barn." And that's really all they'd tell us until we got there. And it was really cool. We saw some really, really incredible things, and had a good time. It was a lot of fun.
But it sounds like all the things that you've done as an actor and as a producer and as a screenwriter and author, you've pulled it all together to make for a very exciting life.
My life has been many things. I've worked in radio, I've worked in newspapers, I've worked in television and film. I've worked for 2 presidential campaigns and 1 senatorial campaign. So my life has been many things, but it has never once been boring.
I love that. Diane, I'm sorry, you had a question before.
Oh, no, I was just going to make a joke. Or actually not a joke. I think when different things come out and kids learn about you on Halloween, they're all going to want to have some vampire costumes.
I hope so.
Different vampire costumes. So,
yeah.
I'm ready to buy some. I might wear one myself.
There you go. Vampires are, they're incredible characters, and they have a kind of a universal appeal. Everybody likes them for different reasons, but everybody seems to like them.
And cool. You mentioned in the beginning of our show about your fear and Stephen King and what he suggested. So are there other fears that you want to share publicly that you may write about in the future?
Twitter is a big one. Twitter actually does terrify me. It's a very frightening version of the public square. It's the public square with no adults, I think. So yeah, Twitter, I actually do write a little bit about that in Rise of Dracula, not Twitter specifically, but just how easily we can be manipulated by social media. Spiders terrify me. I have clinically diagnosed arachnophobia. So I do find that I use a lot of spider imagery in my books because they scare me so badly that it seems to translate over to the audience and the readership. So yeah, I firmly believe what Stephen King said. If you want to write effective horror, write what scares you, and your readers will pick up on that.
Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that with us. That's great.
I'm
also
he's going to be singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider anytime soon.
Yeah, let's not do that.
And what about that work behind you?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, this is a little Star Wars canvas painting of the get out of the way here, the Millennium Falcon. I don't remember where I got that. I do have some other artwork up around the room, some by comic book artists and things like that. But I try to contain my nerddom to my downstairs finished basement in my office. Because if not, it could easily kind of just blow up all around the house and everything would be nerdy. So
I don't see a nerd. Do you, Diane?
No, I
No.
see someone I'm in awe with. So we are not in your writing space right now. Your writing space is downstairs.
it is, yeah, it's actually on the other side of this wall. So, and I would normally be broadcasting from in there, but I've been doing some redecorating, and so I don't have anything up on the walls anymore right now. So working on kind of shaking up that that environment to be a little more inspiring.
So are you kind of like me? I have this certain space that once I enter that's like where I know that I'm going to enter my new world. Like Dr. Jacalyn was sending me some things that she needed me to do, and I'm like, I'm in the year 1926. Let me try to get back into reality. Does that happen to you?
Yeah, I have to, to keep myself disciplined to do this, because it's a pretty demanding schedule. You have to have a script ready because a book comes out every single month.
Wow.
So yeah, so to keep up with that, you have to be very disciplined. So I've designated my office. It's the only thing I do there is write. And I have specific office hours that I schedule myself like a professor would. And I know that I'm going to be in my office from this time to this time writing. And even if I'm just there and I end up typing and deleting the same sentence a million times, at least I've put myself in that position so that, if I do have the inspiration, I'm in the best possible position to take advantage of it. So, it does require that type of discipline. And I think any successful writer needs a space of their own. That's kind of almost a sacred place where you find your creativity and you're able to create your worlds.
I agree.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. We actually are at the end of our show. I'm having so much fun. So
you guys are fantastic.
well, thank you. I hope you'll come back and see us again. And
Of course.
I'm so excited about what you're doing. We've never had anybody who's hit that kind of number and been on Netflix and is going to be on Netflix and have a full feature film. So.
Yeah, even when I say it, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, and I'm so lucky right now. I really am. And I'm very happy that I've gotten to work with some really incredible people who have really helped me when they had absolutely no reason to even know that I was alive. So, I'm very grateful to be where I am, and I hope to be able to continue doing it and maybe be in a position to help somebody else get here someday.
That's beautiful. That's what it's all about. And I can see why people would help you. You're very likable. You're very real. And yeah, thank you. So I'm going to spotlight you. And if you can share for our audience who is listening on the radio and they can't read the banner, or people they can't read, what's the best way to get in touch with you? And who would you like to reach out to you?
Yeah, so the best way to get a hold of me is through our social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram. It's at Cult of Dracula Comic on both of those. There is a Cult of Dracula Twitter. That's one if you're interacting with it, that's not me. But Facebook and Instagram is probably me. So if you want to reach out, that's the absolute best way. We've also got our website, cultofdracula.com, and soon worldofdracula.com. So you can find us there. And then you can always send me an email at just cultofdracula@gmail.com. And, be happy to talk to you. If you want to talk to me, I want to talk to you. I love talking to people about my book, and I'm more than happy to offer advice, whatever I can, to anyone else who's wanting to, get into this business. I can tell you about all the mistakes I've made and, hopefully help you avoid them.
Well, I will not be contacting you on Twitter. That is for sure, because I only want to talk to you. We want you, not your representative. That's great. Well, thank you for a brilliant interview, and we wish you continued success. And again, please come back and see us on any of our shows. We have approximately 25 live shows a week.
Wow. I'm happy to. You guys have been fantastic. I really, really appreciate you having me today.
Thank you very much. We'll see you again soon. Take care.
Yes.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Diane, thank you so much. We have to sign up for our next show. How can people reach out to you?
Sure. You can reach me at DiannFloydBOEHM.com, DIANN FLOYD BOEHM.com. Thanks, Dr. Jacalyn. But I just want to add, what a humbling guest we had, didn't we?
Yes, he's fabulous.
So
really
incredible.
fabulous.
I can't wait till he comes back, but he's re-inspired me to want to go back to that dark world, because I'm always living in Pollyanna happiness and love, right? So.
Diane, I remember when I met you, it seems like it was, I don't even know, ages ago, but I did not know how to say your last name, and I was so nervous. And now I hear your name in my sleep.
Oh,
Diane
God, you poor
FLOYD.
little thing.
Diane
FLOYD.
FLOYD. No, I think it's great.
No.
I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. And
It
I feel
is.
honored. We're like kindred spirits for sure. And
Definitely.
I love this show. And again, I hope all our audience and listeners, everyone out there, will go and get Rich Davis's book.
Yes, there's so many fabulous books that people we bring on here that it's amazing. You could spend your entire time just reading one book after another.
Yeah, that's for sure. And why don't you tell them real quick about your new book? And congratulations.
Thank
you. Were a top seller.
Yay. I actually have it over here. And the title is Adversity to Awesome. And this is 12 chapters. The first chapter is mine, and the other chapters are written by different authors. And we share stories that people probably don't know about, things that we kept to ourselves for a long time, so that we could help inspire other people to come forward. So you can go over to Amazon, like everyone else, right? Go over to Amazon and pick up your copy of the ebook or the paperback. Thank you, Diane.
Right. You're welcome. Anytime. I'll let you go and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. You too. I'll see you again soon.
Okay.
Bye for now. All right, our next show is coming up. I just have an announcement to make. I'm really excited about this. I am launching a new line of jewelry, and this is our first piece. As you can see, this is a cuff. It's sterling silver and pave diamonds, and I'll have the whole description, but you too can have your own with your own name on it. It's not going to say Dr. Jacalyn. No, it's going to have your name on it, or your slogan, or your motto. And it's made by Margie Cedrone, who's an artisan jeweler in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, and we will ship worldwide. So as of tonight, you'll be able to see this piece and order it on drjacalyn.com. So stay tuned for that. All right, our next show is coming up. It's the Film and Music Show. Yes. And my co-host is Madeline Chan, and we're welcoming Dr. Maluna. So join us for that. We'll see you again soon. Bye, Rich. Bye, Diane. Bye to each and every one of you. We'll see you shortly.